next section is the devices section, and it lists, whenever you click the all, it will list all the devices that the user has access to. And you can see that I have a good amount of devices here, about 19. The show 50, this is used to denote how many results you want to show per page. If you want to decrease loading time for the page, you can actually say show just 10 per page. And once you select that, it'll just list those 10 devices per page and then paginate the rest of the devices. Once you make your selection of how many results you'd like to show per page, it'll keep that cached as your user preference. So that way, if you go to the gateway page or some other page of the site, it remembers how many results you'd like to show per page. When viewing the all page will actually show all the devices of all the different categories and types. So you can see the different categories and models here listed. Similar to the maps and dashboard page, any page that lists devices or events or any sort of results can always be filtered. You can filter by organization, the category, model, and deployment of the device. The results in the index here, the device ID is the MAC address of the device. If you click on the actual MAC address of the device, it will give you additional details on the device, including its location. You can also view some details about the device, as well as specific details for this device category. For gateway devices or VPN gateway devices, you can view their status by clicking gateway category. If I click on a particular device, you can see details about a particular gateway unit. The details section gives you some general overview about the current status of the device. So the status for right now is that the device is up, but its main tunnel is down. So this could be useful for troubleshooting purposes to find out what AV's status of the device is. So if a user calls them with issues, you can use this to help determine what the problem is. It also lists the IP addresses of the primary connection as well as the management IP. And the management IP is a special tunnel that is used from AView to the device in order to establish a monitoring connection for the device. Below it are details for the specific tunnels that the VPN gateway device has, and these are all configured through AT&T Service Manager. These just list the details of the current connection and the connection statistics. For remote capabilities on the VPN gateway, we have this commands drop-down, and you can do several things such as checking the device status, telling the VPN gateway to pull its configuration from AT&T Service Manager immediately, or you can also reboot the device remotely. So for now, let's check the device's status. And you can see that whenever you click that remote command, it takes you to the events page of the device, so you can see the result of the probe attempt, and you can see that we did successfully probe the device. And if you click on one of these information details for an event, it'll give you additional full details for that event, so you can see the details and notes that were included in that probe response. Going to show some cellular devices. So I'll pull up a sample device here. And you can see it'll give you a similar view to what the VPN gateway device showed, except you're going to see details that are specific to the cellular category devices. If you scroll down, things like the modem details and signal strength are all listed here. Cellular devices can be configured in the AView system, and the current configuration of the device can be selected in this configuration drop-down. So you can select a new configuration for the device here. Say we want to apply the default configuration that is within the organization. So the configurations are actually set up as templates within an organization, similar to like a model, and you can set up several templates that inherit from each other. But for now, let's go ahead and just set the default configuration to this device. So once you select the configuration, you hit update here, and you can see that the configuration is now updated, and you can view the configuration for this device by clicking this. So for cellular configurations, you can see them listed here. They are broken up into sections. So you have these sections of configurations, and each of these entries or options for a configuration, you can see additional details and kind of an explanation of the option by hovering over this help icon. And you can do that for each of the options here. And they'll provide you some additional details as far as what format they may need to be in, or any associated configuration options that go along with them. If you wanted to create a new configuration profile, you can do so here by clicking this Add Configuration button. If and give it a unique name. We'll go ahead and assign it to our suborganization that we've been demoing with. And the parent configuration is the model or template that it would inherit from. So I can specify that here by picking the suborganization and then picking the default template for that suborganization. And once I select it, you can see these inherited values get filled in. You can override these inherited values by deselecting the checkbox and then typing in a new value here. And then once you hit create, it'll save the new configuration, and you can see that the value that we want to use instead of the inherited value is filled in here. Now if I wanted to apply this configuration to the device, the cellular device we were looking at before, I can pick this cellular device, and you can see that the new test config template is listed here. So if I select that and hit update, that's the new configuration applied to the device. Also on cellular devices, we have the option for sending remote commands as well. And you can see the remote commands for the devices listed here. There are several devices that can be sent, and there are also emergency SMS commands that can be sent to a device even when it's not able to fully connect or not able to get a network connection. These SMS commands can be read by the device even offline, which is useful for kind of an emergency situation where the device isn't responding normally. There are other categories of devices here on the left side. Additional details for these can be found in the documentation for the AView site. They're similar as far as the capabilities of what AView can do with these devices, such as configuration and sending remote commands. So the next section we're going to go over is the report section. In the report section, you have options for generating specific types of reports. For example, the first one we can do is an availability report, and this report will list devices as far as their up and down status for a certain amount of time. This report is useful for finding the uptime for a group of devices. So let's go ahead and generate an availability report for our demo organization here. You can specify the types of devices you want to include in the report. So I'm just going to go ahead and include only gateway and cellular devices. And you can also specify the types of models that you would like to include in the report. So let's go ahead and specify those. Let's go ahead and select deployed devices, since those are the ones we are normally concerned with since they're being monitored by AView. You can order the results by the MAC address or last activity. Let's leave it as the last activity so you can see which devices have checked in recently. And let's go ahead and run the report for the last week. So you can see once the report is done, it'll generate a graph and result here. And you can hover over these graphs to get some additional details for different points in time for the report. And if you scroll down, you can see an index view of all the devices that are in the organization, as well as specific details on the up and down time for those devices. So you can see that some devices were up 100% of the time, some devices were up not a lot of the time. You can also export this report as a CSV by clicking the Download CSV button. And you can also view this report by clicking on the History button. And you can see the report that was generated here by just clicking on this again. And you notice that it's the same report, and you can again export to a CSV. Keep in mind that when generating reports, only the most recent 5 reports will be saved in your history. So if you generate another report that would put you above 5, then it'll actually delete the oldest report if you choose to generate the new report. The events page is similar to the individual device events page that we showed with a VPN gateway device earlier. This page will show all the events come in a real-time status for all the devices that I have access to, and you can see it being automatically updated here. And again, we can filter on the organization, the category of the devices we want to show, as well as models, the types of events, and you can see that in the index there are certain types of events that are listed. You can see most of them are status messages, but there also are other types. So let's say we are concerned about reboot events, and levels will also give you certain levels of events to detail the priority of the event. And you can also filter on the range of events you'd like to see. By default, it shows the last month. You can also filter that down to decrease the page load time. So let's leave it at a month. Once I hit filter, you can see that the events are just shown for the suborganization I selected and the reboot types of events. So you can see that this device had a couple of reboots for different reasons, and you can click on any one of these events to gain additional details about.